things in life always mimic each other, like they play. Everyone thinks, your health is your health and your money is your money. And I think a lot of people take for granted how often things sort of play into each other. And in this video, what I want to talk about in relation to that is some of the things that being a parent has taught me. I'm not going to sit here and try and profess to be the world's greatest parent, anything like that. I try my best and I love it. And my kid's doing all right, and it is, we're only a year in. But something that I've learned as a parent is that routine is super important. I've learned that as a business owner as well. I've learned that for fitness, everything, right? We know routine is important, but there's probably a secondary question a lot of people don't, or a secondary point that a lot of people don't follow up on that is just important, and that is, how do you maintain routine without becoming dependent on shit, right? It's really a really important point, I think, that we really need to address. And it started sparking a question or a light bulb in my brain lately, because say for example I put CJ to bed, and as part of routine I'm putting to bed often, but then if I'm away for work, he's gonna have a really bad night sleeping because he's dependent on me putting him to bed as that part of that routine. So I think the follow-up question that needs to be had is, how do you create a routine that is flexible so that you don't become dependent? And this can be the same with your money, with your health, because you got to have some flexibility in there, right? Because let's stick to money, because obviously that's my topic. And let's say you've got a budgeting system, right? Some people, you get so ingrained in this budget that you won't veer from it left to right, even in certain times where it's probably useful to do so, right? You become so dependent on sticking to the budget that you might miss out on a serious event or having a serious bit of fun because it doesn't fit within the budget. And this is where you've got to learn that maturity, and you've got to learn that flexibility to have in your approach to ensure that you can still get the best out of everything you do while you're in your routine, but at the same time still be disciplined enough to have some flexibility, not veer off too far and be, I guess, like a lot of my coaches have always said, when Easter or when Christmas comes around, enjoy yourself, but just don't be a dickhead, right? Don't take the piss. And I think it's really important, because I've started to learn that with, we get so set in our ways on setting CJ in a routine, but you notice as soon as you sort of miss, and the routine's great, it really helps him develop faster, but the moment you miss that routine, it can become quite dependent. So you've got to be flexible with it and have systems in place to make sure that this dependency doesn't occur all the time. And I think the key to that is to ensure you have priorities set in place. You prioritize certain parts of routine or certain parts of development that you can make sure that, well, if you can't do that, what's the next best option? And this is a really important point for your money, because a lot of people always say to me, like, it's all or nothing. I either spend heaps or I don't spend anything. And the reason that happens is because there's no priorities, right? You're not prioritizing your expenses, you're not prioritizing your income and where it goes. And that's key, right? All you need to do is make sure that you have a priority list. If you can't do that, what's the next best thing, and you go down the list to make sure that if you have to diverge from your plan, what's the next best option that you find that balance between whatever the divergence is and still being on track for your goals. And it all comes down to prioritization and planning. And if you'd like to get a copy of our free prioritization document, please DM me, get in touch. I'll flick it across to you. It's got some descriptions there on how you can start prioritizing your goals, so that you can understand how to do this better.